Welcome to Ask iSTOX Anything, an unscripted webinar where we welcome you to ask us any question. Let us first kick off with a product demo.
The three main components of our platform are offerings, trade, and then the wallet. And the very beauty of this is that this is a full flow-through end-to-end process from primary listing to secondary trading, back to selling your position and taking your money off the platform, or rather taking your profits off the platform. We decided to fund our wallet, so we've pre-funded the wallet already. It's very, very straightforward. You hit the deposit button and you see where to transfer the money, which will then be shown in your wallet on the platform. And we saw the FX conversion. So once funded, you can browse the opportunities page to find something that suits you. And we have actually quite a range of different product types, as well as different investment opportunities within that product type. So at the current moment, we support, for example, funds, bonds, equities, and within each of the product types, there's quite a range. So we're trying to ensure there's a good amount of choice. So based on what the product type is, and in this case, for example, it's a fund, we will require the issuer to list certain information. And this information is here for you as an investor to make an educated investment decision. So we have a timeline, we have some legal documentation, offering details, obviously, such as the sales price, the fundraising targets, and then some background around the fund and the fund manager, and in this case, the fund management team, the business overview, etc. So depending on what the fund type is, will require certain information, and that information should provide you as an investor with sufficient information to do your due diligence and make an educated investment decision. So once you're ready and you assume this is a good opportunity for you, it's very simple. We select the subscribe button. We obviously agree with the legal disclaimer. And then we select our investment amount. And you see that our investment amounts are relatively low. And again, because we are fintech and we have a full end-to-end process, we can offer these investments in much lower amounts, right? For example, if you look at the traditional hedge fund world, it's often a minimum investment of, say, 1 million, or it could even be more. Whereas some of our offerings go as low as 20,000 each. And for us, it's a very big advantage to offer this, because for you as an investor, it will not expose you in such a large amount or such a big percentage of your portfolio. So then it's simply buying the token and that's it. Very simple, and your subscription is initiated. Now, when the initial offering ends, so we're going to assume, of course, this is a success, then it will be listed on secondary trading. So secondary trading here, again, is very empty because this is our UAT environment, but this is one of our listings that we're very proud of, Elite Logistics. So also here in the secondary trading, we offer the opportunity for you as an investor to buy and sell at a daily basis. So we're not following the limits of, say, a fund manager that would have monthly liquidity or quarterly liquidity or sometimes even yearly liquidity. Here, there's opportunities to increase your position or decrease your position at any point in the day. So similarly here, as we had on the offerings page, there's product highlights, similarly the timeline and the fund highlights. But what we also see is, of course, the chart, but we also see the order book. So we can already analyze the order book. We can see what the prior transactions are. We can see the current order book outstanding, and we can place very simple buy and sell orders as well. If I simply hit buy, it will give me a summary, and my order will go into the order book. Now we see that there's an additional order which gets priority because it has a higher price. And this is very simple. So once you go through these steps and you decide to either participate in the primary offering or in the secondary trading opportunity, or maybe even in both, It's the same. It's the same way when you want to sell off your position. So you can sell on the secondary market as well as, or you can wait till the fund life ends and the fund is liquidated and you returned your investment. And then it's back to the wallet to withdraw your funds. And withdrawing is very simple as well. It's simply put in the amount you want to withdraw and it's back in your bank account. So that is very high level, the way our platform works. It's very easy, and we're trying to provide as much information as we can for you as an investor to make an educated investment decision. Yeah, so I hope this gave some good insight on what we do and what we're trying to offer. And please ask any additional questions.
Thank you so much for the product demo. It's such a nice, quick run-through, team. We have really quite a number of questions. Some of them are really, I can see they're quite difficult. The first question is by Ben. He asks us, what is the difference in operational costs between a traditional brokerage versus a private blockchain brokerage? I think this is a better question for Oi.
Yeah, this is funny. I wasn't going to do slides, but I thought what would be quite a good slide to use, Alex, is slide 12. Okay, that's one. Thank you. So to everyone, I think just to give a actually this is a great summary of iSTOX and how we have built the platform out. We sort of have built a very integrated platform, right? From the point of issuance to the point of redemption, post-trade, etc. So what do I mean by that? A couple of funds and the bonds that we've done, we've been able to issue the tokens, run a book building and a price discovery process, done the allocation, done the settlement, done the post-settlement trade, the secondary trading of the product, as well as redemption. And in reality, we sort of built this integrated platform because we saw the opportunity to use current day technology to really have a seamless process for the investor. Now, that means that we first of all, do not have a very heavy, we use the cloud, so we're very scalable, and therefore we don't have very heavy system investments. Our investments are really in the team and the people here building the platform and the coding across the system, the iSTOX platform. So from a cost perspective, because everything is on one system and everything is not, disintermediated into large broker systems and the exchange systems, therefore we've managed to keep the costs down to a minimum. Our ops team is very, very lean and mean. And really it's because we think with the use of technology, we can bring the cost down very, very low. And all of that is managed very efficiently. So and what we're trying to do here is sort of bring different types of products that are a lot more bespoke. So private funds, potentially, private companies, as well as credit, whether it's bonds or fractionalization, that we want to solve the, more difficult use cases for investors here to be able to invest. So hopefully that sort of answers Ben's first question. The second question is whether there'll be market makers. Yes, we do intend to add on market makers as we grow. There is no settlement delay. So actually our settlement is DVP. We settle on, because our investors pre-fund, we actually settle instantaneously. So I hope that answers Ben's two questions. We will, of course, as we talked about, as we bring on different types of products, bonds, for example, we do hope to see more market makers and liquidity on the platform as we grow.
Thank you, Oi. I hope that answers your question, Ben. Feel free to continue to ask us more questions. I can see a lot of them flooding in. Next question by Nora. She asks, can investors across the world participate in these offerings? What kind of due diligence is done on STOs that are offered on the platforms? And are trade in compliance with local regulations? So 3 questions in one paragraph.
Okay, you might have to remind me, Alex. But so the first question is, can investors across the world participate in these offerings? The answer is yes, except for US residents. As some of you may know, US regulations are particularly complex. We're not set up to handle that yet, but almost every other country we can take investors that are accredited. So what do I mean by accredited? In the Singapore definition, that is either 300,000 in salary, net salary every year, or 1 million Singapore dollars in net financial assets, or 2 million in net worth. So you do have to be accredited because we do offer relatively sophisticated products. But we also offer it from our platform. Any investor can just sign up. They just need to go through a very short onboarding process. We actually have investors from all over the world. Of course, predominantly Singapore, but we actually have Brazilians and Canadians and Germans and Dutch investors, Chinese, Thai, Korean. So we actually have investors from all over the world, and we're quite familiar with onboarding them. The second point is what kind of due diligence are done on the STOs. I just like to reiterate to everyone here that a lot of, actually all of our funds and financial products are actually quite traditional products. So we have hedge funds, we have real estate private equity funds. We're looking to do private companies, and obviously STOs are the way to efficiently manage those on our platform. And so we do have a commercial and legal diligence process for each one of these that takes 3 to 4 weeks to complete. We also have a listing committee, and this listing committee is an independent committee, and they're made up of very senior finance professionals, SGX and from XMAS, and some of them used to run banks here in Singapore. And they are the ones who are like the final approval authority, taking into consideration all the feedback that we feed to them. And they're very obviously focused on the governance, for example, investment committees, what is the underlying invest in the underlying fund, like say, is it in real estate, and all that. So we do due diligence on the products that we onboard. All of these are done under the Singapore regulation. So we are regulated by MAS. So for Nora, we have a license that which is called a CMS, in dealing in securities license. We have a custody license, and we have a regulated recognized market operator license. So we do have to comply. MAS is obviously quite a rigorous regulator, and we comply with all of their requirements across these licenses.
So the next question is from Paul Young. He asks, what are the sectors that iSTOX can expect to see more investor interest for in this year?
So Paul, thank you for that question. We actually in 2021, we have a number of exciting funds on our platform. We kicked off a very exciting China VC fund that's closed already. And we think that's a very exciting one to look at. So if you're on our platform, do see if there's any secondary tokens for sale. We're also looking at another large private equity real estate exposure in Europe with one of the top managers here in Singapore. We also have a very robust bond pipeline, so that's also coming in the next couple of months. I think where we see quite interesting the bond space is how do we work with larger bond issuers to fractionalize bonds for investors like yourselves, because at the moment, if you want to look at all these larger wholesale bonds, your minimum investment size is 250,000. Now, we certainly want to use technology to bring that down to a smaller amount, that it makes it palatable for everyone to add on some direct bond exposure to their portfolio. The third piece that's actually quite exciting for us is we're about to launch our equity business, and we see a lot of private companies who are looking to work with us to list, but also we're looking at large companies like the unicorns of this world, and whether we can source some exciting names like for example, if Grab or Gojek or Tokopedia or or even SpaceX, right? Anything that sort of sparks the imagination. is something that we're quite keen to see if we can bring some of that to the platform.
Great. Paul also asked, currently for the funds, they're asking I think what he's asking is what we already have on the platform. I think we have publicly displayed what we have for secondary market on our opportunities page on our iSTOX website. So you can see all this information that's publicly available.
Yeah, but for maybe the benefit of everyone, just to do a quick swing through. I mean, we do have a feeder fund of Quant Edge. Quant Edge is a quite a well-known hedge fund based out of Singapore. It is one of Singapore's top, or actually it's a global top 5 macro hedge fund that's done quite well last year. So that's one that we're very excited about. We also have Elite Logistics Fund, which over the COVID period, we managed to raise capital for them. And it's quite an interesting case study here where they invested in, we have a case study right here on Elite. Alex, do you want to show the case study?
Okay.
Elite is a manager in Singapore who last year listed Elite Commercial Fund. Elite Logistics Fund is the second representation of a private pre-IPO fund. And they invested in logistics assets across Poland and UK and actually now Europe. So they're looking at Spain and Germany, etc. And the thesis was clearly logistics is a very exciting space to be in. Now, they embarked on this strategy pre-COVID, and actually through COVID, this has been one of the most robust sub-real estate sector globally, right? Because a lot of the e-commerce, food distribution are reliant on logistics for storage and distribution. So the fund is targeting a return of 12%. It paid out some distribution and annualized distribution for one of the earlier tranches of 10%. We continue to work with the team. We look forward to their near-term exit or IPO shortly. And then we have in December, we listed a Unicorn Opportunities Fund. That particular fund will invest in pre-IPO and large technology, sort of around the $1 billion+ valuation. And we think that this manager, iCham, has got very good access to a lot of the venture capital and a lot of the potential opportunities to acquire secondary portfolios of very exciting companies. So again, if you have the opportunity to take a look at our website, please take a closer look at that fund as well. We are running one at the moment, like I said, a very interesting private equity real estate fund. It is a commercial fund in Europe. Most of the tenants are actually technology tenants. And again, something that we think the name and the quality of the portfolio is fantastic.
Great. All right, I think we finally have some questions for Tim. I think some of our attendees are interested in seeing some of the features of our platform. First one is how to fund my wallet, how do I convert, do FX conversion, and how do I make my first subscription? Tim, would you like to share screen and answer these questions?
Yeah, let me share. So the fund the wallet, so if you log in and land at the homepage like we do here, there is also a Fund My Wallet quick training here as well, or simply navigate to the wallet here. So the way it works on our end is that we keep all of our funds with a DBS Trust account. And that is effectively to safeguard your own investments. So the way it works is that, let's say, assume you want to fund your wallet in Singapore dollars. You will simply hit the deposit, and that will give you the bank account at DBS. So ICHX is the exchange, and it's very important to notice that we keep this separate from the company running the exchange for any unforeseen circumstances, that your money is always safe with DBS. So then you would just simply transfer the money from your personal bank to this bank account, and we will recognize that it will be coming from you. And then we'll very simply deposit this in your iSTOX wallet. So for every dollar that we see in your iSTOX wallet, there will always be $1 at DBS. There will always be held $1 at DBS. So your money is always safe there. So this is at the current moment the only way to deposit funds. So we accept these three currencies. So these are also the currencies in which our offerings are listed. So if you simply want to, if you only have Singapore dollars, for example, but you want to invest in US dollar, we offer this currency exchange conversion, which is unfortunately not open right now. But this is offered by DBS. So we connect automatically to DBS, and we also settle this instantly. So similarly to what Oyi just mentioned, is once you place an order or you participate on the initial offerings, everything happens instantly. And similarly with the FX conversion. So DBS provides us with a live rate, and we will automatically convert that on your behalf. So then, when it comes to investing, there are two ways to truly invest, which is through the initial offering. If you find an opportunity which we just displayed that you like, so again, it's of course very important that you find something that you like and do your own due diligence. Of course, we try to ensure there are quality offerings on the platform, also through our listing committee. And then it's a simple matter to participate in subscription or via our secondary trade, where you can see what is trading, which is at the current moment only elite in our test environment. And then we have the opportunity for a limit order or a market order. So if you want immediate filling, you could place a market order and you'll get matched against the order book. Or if you place a limit order, if you want to buy against a certain price, then that is also possible. And it's very simply a matter of typing in the amount, the number of tokens that you want to buy. So in this case, say 5, and the price that you are willing to pay for that. So let's say 1,200, and place a buy instruction. And that is effectively all the steps we take. Overall, it takes about 2 to 3 clicks to place an order anywhere. So I hope that answers the questions.
This is great. I think for our new investor, if you have any other questions, feel free to approach us directly. I'll be happy to give you a personal walkthrough of the platform.
Yes, absolutely. And we're also working on some very detailed how-to videos. So please keep an eye out for those as well.
Yes.
And you can rewatch these at your convenience.
Yes, because we understand that this may be new to you. So we're putting extra effort to really help you understand how to use our platform. Right. Thank you very much, team. I think the next question is from Sato Khan. He asked, what type of assets would fit well on iSTOX platform?
Yep. Thanks, Sato. I think where we see the high level engagement with investors. First of all, I think whether it's let's start with funds, right? The funds that have a track record, that have some existing large institutional investors into the fund, generally are received quite well. The second type of fund that's received quite well is also thematic ones, for example, the unicorn fund. So we're happy to chat a little bit further. And of course, real estate always has a place in everyone's portfolio allocation. We're looking to see, what might we expand in terms of use cases, different alternative assets, whether it's wine, etc. And those, so we're trying to see if there's a space for that or there's a home for that within our platform. On the debt side, we're looking at a variety of options. Obviously, one are the higher credit issuers, but we're also looking at perhaps some exciting opportunities in the structured credit space where you get a higher yield pickup and work with partners around these different ideas, whether it's mezzanine or potentially something with a little bit more structure or convertible into a smaller company that has a equity like return. So the third, on the equity side, I think we would like to keep that off, obviously, with the big names. So stay tuned for that. But we also do see a number of growth companies. We think the Series C upwards type companies will do quite well here, especially if they have existing VCs or PEs that are invested with them in them already. So I see a question from Isabel around fees, and maybe we should sort of take that as well as
Okay.
a number of, let's say, funds wanting to launch on the platform. On the fee front, it depends on the product. For bonds, obviously, and those are a bit more liquid, the fees will almost be non-existent, I suspect. But on the funds and the equity, that's when there are different tiers of fees. For funds, generally, we look at about 1% plus minus, depending on the size of the investment. And for equity, obviously, for those that are harder to come by, is likely to be a slightly higher fee there, probably in the 2% range. What happens is when we charge the fee, we also have to charge GST on top of that. So it will have to be, let's say, a 1% plus a 7% on the 1%. So it'll be 1.07% on general on a funds basis. But keep a lookout. I mean, where we want to be is to be quite transparent on fees. So we will put up on the offering page, one, if it's a fund, what the manager will charge of management fees, and then what iSTOX might charge on a subscription fee. And all these are sort of quite comparable, if not cheaper, than what you could get in the, whether with banks or other just distributors. The other question is, I see Tony's question on hedge fund and PE funds launching on the platform. What we find is that if the fund will require some little bit of legal documentation work to get onto our platform and the application, etc. On average, for the last sort of 5 funds, it took about, let's say, 3 to 5 weeks to get listing approval, and then another sort of 3 to 6 weeks to do marketing and get the subscription and close the fund. So it can be very efficient if you're ready, and then it depends on how long it will take to market. Depends on the fund and the complexity of the fund. We would recommend the timing based on that.
Next question by John. He say that he read about iSTOX recent fundraising. Thank you very much. He raised USD 50 million from a few new Japanese investors. He asks, what type of listings can we expect this year? Are these startup or funds? How deep is the secondary liquidity?
Yeah, John, thanks for that. I think we've been very, very grateful. Obviously, sort of through this period that we have had, very strong supporters, whether it's from Singapore and Japan. Maybe for the benefit of everyone, we started off with the seed investments from SGX, Singapore Exchange, as well as Heliconia, which is a Temasek-backed SME fund. And we also have investors from financial institution investors from Thailand, Japan, as well as Korea. And with Japan, some of our Japan partners, they were very, very enthusiastic about the support. As you know, Japan is also sort of on track to launch their own securities tokens, and so we're working very hard with our partners on that. We do think that again we raise these funds again because we do have quite a long pipeline to work through. We think the funds pipeline is quite strong at the moment, so we will see real estate funds, private equity funds, potentially some debt or credit funds as well. And then on the startups, as I mentioned, I think we're looking more towards the larger pre-IPO companies or startups who have achieved or growth companies who have achieved a certain size and Series C and above. Again, with a strong track record, very strong other shareholders who are in, we may do some co-investment type structures on our platform. On the liquidity front, at the moment, I think I have to say our funds have been doing very, very well. If you see, we have a couple of hedge funds who are in the double digit, sort of in the 20+% return range. Our real estate fund is about to exit in the near term. So we actually see a lot of fans of the funds who don't necessarily want to sell them. But as we expand our product range in the bonds, we do expect liquidity to increase there subsequently.
Great. For the next question, I think it's from Paul Young. I'm so excited that I actually can answer this question. He asks us, is there interest from iSTOX investors on green companies? Actually, recently we ran a webinar with Lucky Partners. That was one of really interesting event as a lot of our investors attended and showed that interest. So yes, I would say there's interest in green companies, especially ESG focused.
Love to hear all your views on that. I mean, we are very, very, very supportive of the of ESG and how we can support that. You know, for example, if you know, if companies who are slightly smaller in size and don't have a large bond program want to issue green bonds or blue bonds, we would love to support that.
The next question is a few questions on blockchain. Perhaps team, you would like to answer these questions. It's by anonymous attendees. First, he asks, how does the decentralization aspect of blockchain actually help us in our solution? The second question he's asked is, are there any business risks to using blockchain to digitize security?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of business risk, there is not as much. So in Singapore, under MAS regulation, digitized securities are considered securities, meaning that effectively you have the same rights and obligations as you would have on any other security, and the regulation is all the same. So if we look across the world, that not every country has adopted that policy yet. So there are countries that are trying to rewrite legislation around digitized securities. Singapore not, so they treat digitized securities as the same as traditional securities. So there's very little risk from that matter. So then I will try to answer a few of the blockchain questions, and I will not go too deep, but I'll try to give some background. And of course, if there's any request for further information, we're happy to set up a follow-up session as well. So I guess the decision to use blockchain is one that's on multiple fronts. So obviously, I think we all think it's the future, and with the future I mean a lot of players are going to adopt this, and it's very important to be a part of that and try to steer away from the traditional way of I guess doing business or adopting in finance. Other advantages of blockchain, obviously one of the key ones is immutability, and immutability simply means that all your assets are safe. So it costs a lot of computing power to be able to change the blocks in a chain, because you'd effectively have to go back all the way to the initial block and change everything. And therefore it's nearly impossible to change, right? So security there and safety is a very key factor. And I think Singapore government and MAS have also realize that. Then on the other side, there's obviously also a few additional benefits. For example, the immediate settlement. If we look at traditional securities, it's obviously T+2 settlement, and we settle instantly. So we settle within less than a second even. So you can see there's a lot more benefits. You know immediately what your positions are, what your cash is, everything, and you can also withdraw or deposit immediately. So there's definitely some benefits to using blockchain. We do think that there's also some education still needed to the market, but yes, it's absolutely a growing thing. So if we look at the overall added value or risk of blockchains, iSTOX itself is a private chain, so we're not connected to the mainnet, which adds an additional level of security for us. We do intend to open ourselves to the mainnet in, say, the next year or maybe 2 years, and that will open up additional benefits, such as obviously trading across chains and things like that. But with that comes also additional security risks that we need to analyze. So yeah, that is high level, the background around iSTOX and blockchain. But if there's any additional questions, please let me know.
Great, thanks for the detailed explanation, team. The next question, I think we'll combine two questions, one from anonymous attendee, the others from Mac. So the anonymous attendee asks when can retail investors invest on iSTOX, and Mac asks, is there any way to invest in blocks of 20K if not an accredited investor? I think what they're looking for is when they're able to come on iSTOX platform as a retail investor.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now we are only accepting accredited investors, I mean, for a variety of licensing and all that, etc. But you know, eventually we will explore a retail license, because we think that with technology we can help do that, a lot broader distribution of that with retail. At the moment, in terms of size, as long as you're an accredited investor, you can do a lot smaller sizes. For example, if you come onto our platform, you could potentially buy, 1,000, 2,000. Our technology sort of is set up for that. But you do have to be an accredited investor on our platform. But stay tuned. I think retail is something that we will look at in a couple of years as well.
Great. I think let's take a final question from Isabel. The question is, how would you attract companies like Grab, Tokopedia? Would it be like a partial IPO?
Yes, so when we look at all the large companies, I think where we see an opportunity there, especially with pre-IPO and people getting excited, is there are a number of, I think, investors out there or employees out there who may want to potentially monetize their shares earlier. So that's one way of getting some existing shares. As we also get larger and our capability to distribute gets bigger, potentially we can participate in some of the rounds. It will be a little bit like a partial IPO. We will not obviously list all the company shares. It will be that portion that is on our platform.
We will come to the end of the Q&A. So for those who are our platform investors, stay tuned. We'll bring you more exciting issuers really in the pipeline. And for those who are considering on joining iSTOX, you can simply sign up really quickly over here on our website. You just click open account here. You will bring on to this page. Now, if you are a PR or a Singapore citizen, you just got to click the My Info and you sign up much quicker. And our current service team are very gentle, friendly people. They'll guide you through the process if you have any questions. Thank you so much for attending. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.